Hello, my name is Tony Washington, and I am the fire chief for the city of Decatur, and I am a firefighter.
My name is Vera Morris, and I'm the deputy fire chief for the city of Decatur, and I'm a female firefighter.
I'm Ninetta Violante. I'm the assistant chief and fire marshal for City of Decatur Fire Department, and I'm a female firefighter.
So tell me more about those challenges that you faced as a female in the fire service.
We face a lot of challenges as leaders in the fire service because definitely the fire service is a male-driven profession. So we experience challenges from uniform fitting to dealing with vendors, from getting the respect that we command as it relates to our titles and several other things.
And I think one of the challenges I think that all three of us have talked about just amongst each other is that being in the fire service and like one of the scenarios when you're on the scene and our helmets are different colors, but you could be on the scene with a whole bunch of men and then someone from another department or another vendor or another ancillary service like Georgia Power, they'll walk up to the male and start asking them questions, and you're the highest ranking person on the scene. And sometimes I found it comical because it's like, I'm clearly standing here and my helmet says chief, but you're gonna walk to this red helmet that says captain because it's a male. And so that's like one of the biggest things that as a female we have to overcome, just to be able to say, just to take that in for that moment and not take it personal and let them say all they're gonna say, and then, you know, maybe you'll have one or two good guys on the scene that'll say, you probably need to talk to her because she's in charge.
Nice.
And I would follow up and say that, yes, I mean, I think I'm 5'2" and, you know, $120, so that puts me at a disadvantage in some way, but the way the fire service is going, a lot of it is becoming more academic, more technology based, so it's just sort of the fire service itself catching up with the rest of the world in terms of keeping tradition, but at the same time moving forward and progressing.
I think also too, and Chief Washington, you mentioned this a lot in a lot of your interviews, is that when it comes to decision making and we're in a room or at a table, they tend to go with the male, because there's no way you as a fire chief could know what you're talking about and know what you're doing, because how could you? This is a male dominated field. So again, that's another one of those challenges and one of those curveballs that we always have to dodge as females in the department, because again, we're in a male dominated field, we have to get men to listen to us. And then they're looking at us like there's no way you can know what you're doing. There's no way you started as a firefighter and you made your way up here. Something had to happen to get you here, and it's like you said, it's the academic portion of it that got you here, and the know-how and the experience. So.
There's a great video online, and it has to do with children, and you would think we've progressed, right? It's 2023, and they had children draw pictures of a firefighter, a naval or jet pilot, and then an astronaut, and every kid in the class drew a picture of a man, and then they had a female from each occupation come in and sort of represent a female to their surprise. So I think sometimes it's not necessarily conscious, and that's the part that we have to change. And while we've done it and we've heard some of our same stories, it's still important that we do things like this because of the example I just gave.
It's the modern day blue eye story.
Yeah, and one of the things that we really deal with is, you know, we go out on the scene, we have to make corrections sometimes to things that's going on the scene and administration here in the station. And, you know, they look at us as angry women instead of having command presence. And that's always a challenge. And I think that we as women, we always second guess, you know, how should I handle this when we shouldn't really have to do it, especially when we're doing nothing but doing our job. And it's not about being angry, it's ensuring that, you know, everybody's safe and things are conducted in the proper way.
I think too, moving forward, that is difficult as it was for us to be groundbreaking and some of the only women in our class or in our department or on a shift, that, you know, one topic that we've had is that there's going to be transgendered people coming into the service. There's going to be people who identify differently. And again, this is not the corporate world, and this is a more traditional based environment. So having to push through those barriers, I think, and trying to stay on top of things before they happen is another challenge that we need to make. But because we're female, we're already thinking of those things versus not considering them at all.
And we do have that nurturing aspect about us, and we like to take care of everybody. We want to make sure everybody is good, and that sometimes poses a challenge because we find ourselves spending a lot more time on things that should be really quick because we want to make sure everybody's good. So I think we bring that special touch to the fire service that has been embraced secretly. Some of our male counterparts really, really like it, but will they say it out loud? I'm not sure.
And I think the part to that too is that even though we have that aspect, I think there's sometimes that we have to put our foot down and we have to demand that certain things are done a certain way, and that leads back to what Chief Washington was saying about the being angry. And it's not a matter of being angry. It's I'm in charge of all of this, and we have to do this the right way. And if I say do it in a certain way, or your male counterpart comes and says it in a different way, then you're like, okay, well, that's fine that he said it, but it's not okay that she said it. And that's a stereotype. Again, I think that we have certainly broken being an all-female command staff. So,
and it's a scaffolding effect because having Chief Washington as a female chief, for example, when I was here, I was one of the only females, and I had breast milk that I had put in the refrigerator because I was breastfeeding at the time to save and take home, and I have a kid with a disability, and it got thrown into the trash because people thought it was disgusting. Nowadays we have a little refrigerator just for the women who are pregnant or are taking care of children. So we have separate bathrooms and things like that. So Chief Washington has made a lot of stride in a very short amount of time. But what that does is it also leads to not just progress for women, but just an overall increase in professionalism. So a lot of the stuff that used to kind of slide, or remarks, or just things that occurred that were accepted are no longer accepted, and that goal for professionalism has definitely increased.